Of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by
Bell Tire.
Well, there is no doubt the Tigers are ecstatic with what they've gotten out of David Price since the trade. In 30 2/3 innings, David Price is sparkling 2.35 ERA and 32 strikeouts in that stretch as well. Price has been dealing in a Tigers uniform. Welcome to Comerica Park tonight. It is Game 2 in this series featuring the Detroit Tigers and the New York Yankees. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba alongside Rod Allen. Glad to have you with us tonight. The Tigers and the Yanks, Game 2 in the series. First of all, thanks to Matt Shepard last night for filling in. The voice is not all the way back, but we're going to give it a go tonight, Rod. And, well, David Price, he's been really, really good since putting on a Tigers uniform.
You know, one of the things that we knew about David Price is that he was an outstanding pitcher. That much is for certain. He's already won a Cy Young. He's already made several All-Star teams. But he is such a quality guy in that clubhouse that it's unbelievable. This guy is quite the leader. And that's probably the one thing that I did not know about David.
All right, now we saw David Price pitch last in Tampa. His old team, he dominated them, but it was the fact that he dominated them with tremendous control that was really impressive.
You know, this guy throws about 98 miles an hour when he wants to. That's where his fastball gets up to. He's got an outstanding breaking ball. He's got a well above average changeup, and he's got a cutter. But in his last start, David Price pitched 8 innings. And get this, folks, he did not have one 3-ball count on any of the Tampa Bay Rays hitters. Take a look at the glove of Avila. Everything that he throws, whether it be inside, outside, fastball, breaking ball, changeup, right to the glove of Avila. Avila's still trying to get on the same page as far as what to call in certain situations with David Price. But one thing he does know, when he does call for a pitch and Price accepts that pitch, when he puts that glove down, he knows David's going to hit that glove. And that's a beautiful thing for a catcher.
What he got on J.D. Martinez, here's a guy that kind of struggled a little bit coming out of the break. Then all of a sudden he found it again. J.D., another big game last night. He seemingly is going to show that he's a 300 hitter this year.
Well, you knew he wasn't going to stay locked in for the entire year. That's nearly impossible. But there was a little bit of a correction, and J.D. had to make that correction as the league corrected to him. But what I've been impressed with J.D. Martinez since August 10th is the fact that he is starting to spray the ball all around the ballpark once again. He's got his hands in a real nice slot. He pulls his hands close to his body, which allows him to barrel up balls that are away. It allows him to barrel up balls that are inside. And that's the biggest difference in his numbers since August 10th. He has simply taken off because he has simply gone right back to the basics. When you were as hot as J.D. Martinez was, the natural tendency for all hitters, not just J.D. Martinez, is when you go up there, you're going to try to hit balls out of the ballpark, and he got caught doing that, but now he's back on track.
All right, now with the Yankees in town for the final time this season, Derek Jeter making his final appearance here in the Motor City tonight. He was honored before the ball game, and, well, when you look at what this guy's done in his career, it really has been impressive.
Well, he's one of the classiest men that I've ever known, that much is for sure. 20 years playing on that stage in New York, just class, and you had a chance to see him for 20 straight years. Yankees have always had some great players, but you take a look at Derek Jeter's ranks and where he ranks above some of the best that have ever put on a New York Yankee uniform, and he is just simply right there.
All right, after a short break, we'll send you back to the Coliseum Studios. Check in with Trevor Thompson coming up in this one tonight. Hopefully the Tigers are playing some more of the same defense they played last night. They were flashing the leather. Tigers, Yanks, Game 2 coming up. We welcome you back to Comerica Park. David Price taking the hill tonight for the Detroit Tigers, getting the start here against the New York Yankees on a gorgeous night for baseball here in the Motor City. David Price is presented by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Second time that the fans here at Comerica Park get a chance to see David Price toe the rubber. He checks in overall this year with a 12-9 record. Take a look at the strikeouts to walks ratio, 221 strikeouts, which leads the majors. He's only walked 29 batters.
Derek Jeter honored before the ball game tonight. He'll get set to bat in the first inning. The starting lineup for the Yankees presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers, and it includes Ellsbury, Jeter, and Prado at the top. Mark Teixeira's at first base, Carlos Beltran at right field, Brian McCann, the DH, Headley, Gardner, and Cervelli, the bottom three tonight for the New York Yankees. And we are ready for baseball here this evening as David Price gets set to go to work. And he is facing Jacoby Ellsbury to start things off. It'll be Ellsbury, Jeter, and Prado. Tigers won the opener last night by a score of 5-2 and remain a game and a half behind the Royals in the Central. And the first pitch is outside, 1 ball and no strikes on Jacoby Ellsbury.
Jacoby Ellsbury has been on fire the last couple of days, 6 for 9 with 3 home runs, and that's why he's leading off again here today, even though Brett Gardner is back in their starting lineup.
The 1-0 is a little bit low. 2 balls, no strikes to Ellsbury. David Price, in search of his 13th win of the season, came in at 12-9, an ERA of an even 3. Ellsbury waiting on a 2-0. And it's in there for a strike, 2-1. Ellsbury picked up his 1,000th career hit on Monday. That was against the Royals in that makeup game. Batting .284 overall this year. Jacoby, of course, was an offseason acquisition, signed to a 7-year deal by the Yankees. And that's pulled on the ground and through. It's a base hit right by the first baseman, Miguel Cabrera.
Let's take a look at the Tigers' starting defense. It's presented by Beaumont Health System. Left to right, you have J.D. Martinez. You've got Rajay Davis and Torrey Hunter in the outfield. Third to first, Castellanos, Suarez, Kinsler, and Miggy. 13 double plays so far started by Miggy this year.
So Derek Jeter gets a nice round of applause. He got a standing ovation during the ceremony before the ball game tonight. 19 career hits against David Price. That is most all time. And of course his 3,000th hit came against Price as well. Ellsbury can run, 35 steals at first base. And it's in there for a strike, 0-1. Jeter batting .266. He's hit 3 home runs this year. Price ready with the 0-1 pitch, and it's fouled back out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. Derek Jeter in his 20th different season in a Yankees uniform. That is a franchise record for the Yankees. 20 different campaigns, and of course this will be his last. He made that announcement on February 12th, right before the season started. This would be his last year.
Derek has grounded into 15 double plays this year. Good changeup fading away. Good breaking ball down and in. Might get that ground ball off the bat of Jeter for David Price here in the first inning.
And the 0-2. Fought that one off, and it goes back into the Yankee dugout.
Everybody has always pitched Derek Jeter inside aggressively. Guys that have really good arms. Guys with outstanding fastballs. And the reason for that is they know that he's trying to drive the ball the other way, where he's gotten so many hits throughout his illustrious major league career.
Martin Prado waiting on deck.
He was batting 9th when we saw them in New York just a couple of weeks ago. Now he's batting 3rd for the Yankees.
Runner goes on 0-2, and it's slapped foul back into the seats.
If you're David Price, the one thing that you must do here, you can't allow Jacoby Ellsbury to steal second base. You have to make it very difficult for him, especially the information I just passed along to you. Derek Jeter is grounded into a club-leading 15 double plays this year.
Jeter career against Price is hitting .302. He's got a couple of home runs against David. Price leads the American League in innings pitched and in strikeouts coming into play tonight. He's over the 200 plateau in both of those categories. And Ellsbury back in standing up. Jacoby this year has been caught just 5 times to go to his 35 steals. Here are the career numbers for Ellsbury, 84%. A lot of Derek Jeter jerseys in the house here tonight as Jeter makes his final appearance these 3 days here in the Motor City. Derek waiting on the 0-2. And is missed outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Of course, Derek Jeter has ties to Michigan. He grew up in Kalamazoo. And when he left high school, he had signed a letter of intent to go to Michigan, but the Yankees drafted him that season out of high school, and of course the rest is history.
Price this year came in with 201 and 1/3 innings pitched. He also had picked up 221 strikeouts, which were league highs. So the term workhorse certainly applies to David Price, and the Tigers certainly knew that when they acquired him. And he has shown that in a Tigers uniform. Runner goes on 1-2. Throw down to second. The tag is dropped. Baseball dropped by Suarez, and the runner is safe. Number 36 now for Jacoby Ellsbury.
And Jacoby doesn't get a great jump against the left-hander Price, but he's got some really good speed. Even if the tag was applied without Suarez dropping the ball, Ellsbury would have been safe anyway.
So it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on Jeter. Early scoring opportunity for the Yankees. And it's line foul back out of play. Jeter hanging tough. Martin Prado waiting on deck. Critical series for both of these teams, especially the Yankees, who are in the chase for the wild card. Yanks trailing the Tigers right now in that wild card by 3 games for that final spot. So these last 2 for Joe Girardi and the Yankees extremely important. And again the 2-2, and again it's fouled back out of play. Turning into a pretty good battle here for Jeter. This is an 8-pitch at bat so far.
You could see that Derek Jeter, the last swing or 2 that he's taken against David Price, he's trying to hit something toward Mickey. He's trying to hit something toward the second baseman Kinsler, even though there were 2 strikes on him when Ellsbury decided to steal that bag. But he's trying to get Ellsbury over to third base.
And he got him strike 3. Jeter finally goes down on that inside part of the plate pitch that Jeter not so sure about. Well, I mentioned it's a really nice night here tonight. The field conditions are presented by Ace Hardware and the Scotts Company. The temperature is 79. And it's dry, which is very unlike last night here at the ballpark.
Outstanding fastball to finish Derek Jeter off with. 94-mile-per-hour fastball on the black inside. David Price knew exactly what Derek was trying to accomplish, and a 94-mile-per-hour fastball, usually you cannot hit that ball the other way. Not where that fastball was located.
So here is Martin Prado.
Prado, dead pull hitter. Opens up those hips early on fastballs.
The Yankees have several guys in their lineup that are pretty good against Price. Prado is one of them. He's been hot lately, as you can see, over his last 9. 375. And he looks at ball 1 outside. Prado 4 for 9 career against Price with a home run. One of the many pickups Brian Cashman made as the trading deadline approached. None of them were huge splashes, but enough to really kind of retool his offense, retool his team. They've been really hit by a ton of injuries this year, mainly in their starting rotation. Prado's always been a guy that's been a solid big league hitter, especially in his days with the Atlanta Braves and, of course, the Diamondbacks. Price has fallen behind 2-0. And it's high, 3 balls and no strikes on Martin Prado.
If you weren't with us at the top of the show here tonight, we told you that David Price pitched 8 innings in his last outing against his former team, the Tampa Bay Rays, and did not have 1 3-ball count in that particular game. Already one here today.
And he lost him, ball 4. 4-pitch walk for Prado. Here are the numbers on that last start. You might recall a very frustrating start in terms of what Price was able to do and the offense was unable to do.
I don't know for sure, but you talked about the fact that Prado had pretty good numbers against David Price, and with the base open, Ellsbury in scoring position, he did not throw him a strike. And for a guy that has the kind of command that he has, it wouldn't shock me if he said that he basically pitched around him there to get to the double play situation.
Could be, and that's Mark Teixeira who stands in. Teixeira, meanwhile, just 204 career against Price. And he takes one outside, 1-0.
Teixeira typically does not hit into a lot of ground balls, though. He's a fly ball hitter. He's got some pop in his bat. He's got 20 home runs. Uppercut swing from the right side and the left side.
Price has gone 9 balls, 9 strikes through his first 18 in this game. Here's a 1-0. 1-1 now at Mark Teixeira. Leadoff single by Ellsbury. He's at second with a steal, and then a walk with 1 out to Martin Prado. Here's the 1-1. Big rip there by Teixeira, fouled it straight back. 1-2. Teixeira 261, another season in which he's hit at least 20 home runs. He's done that in 11 of his 12 in the big leagues. And the 1-2. Got him. Strike 3. Teixeira caught looking. He didn't like it either. And there are 2 gone.
Backdoor breaking ball there thrown by David Price that Teixeira must have thought was low, but the crew chief, Bob Davidson, thought otherwise.
So here is Carlos Beltran now with 2 outs. He has hit safely in his last 4. Price trying to pitch around some first inning trouble here. And he looks at ball 1. Beltran has been around a long time, not as long as Derek Jeter. Jeter in his 20th season, but Beltran has been around 17 years. Former Rookie of the Year in the American League with the Royals. And that was way back in 1999. And a strike called, 1-1.
Tigers ended their game last night, and Joe Nathan pitched a clean ninth inning, but as soon as they got in the clubhouse, they watched Alex Gordon hit a walk-off home run against Glenn Perkins of the Minnesota Twins.
And that kept the Tigers a game and a half back. Missed it outside. 2 balls and 1 strike.
You can see what the game plan is here tonight against the Yankees, and well, it's their MO against most starting pitchers to get that pitch count up. David Price has already thrown 24 here today, and to get into the bullpen of the Tigers here tonight.
Here's the 2-1. Bouncing ball foul. 2-2 the count, and here's what it looks like as far as the playoff picture is concerned as we march toward the month of September.
Tigers tied with the Seattle Mariners for the wild card.
Game and a half behind the Royals as far as the Central is concerned. That Angels A's race in the West may go down to the wire. Seattle right now hanging in for a wild card position.
And both of those teams have had significant injuries the last week or so. Garrett Richards, the starter of the the Angels, going down, and the closer of the Oakland Athletics going down.
Well, we'll see how much that loss of Sean Doolittle will hurt the Athletics. We know what the loss of Richards will mean for the Angels. Of course, they also lost Tyler Skaggs too. 2-2 the count.
This is also the 4th time this year that Price has pitched against the Yankees. And so you have to continually make adjustment after adjustment after adjustment when you've seen a team 4 times in any one season. He saw him just a couple of weeks ago.
Fill the count now 3-2, which means the runners will be on the move.
Price has a tremendous amount of confidence in his changeup. I don't know if he'll go fastball inside here to Carlos Beltran, or he'll simply fade that changeup down and away and to see if he'll swing at it. But he's got 3 above average pitches that he can get you out with 2 strikes.
And the runners go on 3-2. Swing and a miss. Well, it took a while, but David Price strikes out the side. The Yankees threaten but do not score. Single walk, steal, and 2 men left on a gorgeous night here in the Motor City. to the bottom of the first inning here at Comerica Park. Here is the Tigers starting lineup presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. And for the Detroiters, it'll be Kinsler, Hunter, and Cabrera at the top. Martinez, Victor that is. The DH, JD is in left. Nick Castellanos, his last 5 have been awfully good. He's at third base. Vigo, Suarez, and Davis are your bottom 3 tonight for Detroit. And they are facing the right-handed offerings of Shane Green.
And Tigers didn't know a whole lot about Shane Green, but when they saw him on August 7th, they learned a lot about him. He's got a plus fastball all the way up to 96, average heater about 93, but he threw a lot of really good sliders in that afternoon game at Yankee Stadium against the Tigers and pitched 8 shutout innings against the Tigers' bats. Let's take a look at the Tigers starting defense presented by Tim Hortons. Left to right, they've got Gardner, Ellsbury, and Beltran. Derek Jeter, the shortstop, he was honored here today. He's won 5 career Gold Gloves. Headley, Prado, to share in the infield. And Cervelli is the catcher here tonight. Brian McCann, he's the DH.
There's a shot of Cervelli, who missed some time earlier this year. In fact, he was on the DL, the 60-day DL earlier this year with a bad hamstring. So here come the Tigers now facing the right-hander Shane Green. And it'll be the top of the lineup, Ian Kinsler. Kinsler, Hunter, and Cabrera in the Tigers' first inning. Ian last night was 0 for 4 in the ball game. Shane Green is 25 years of age, out of Claremont, Florida. He is ready to go to work. And Kinsler looks at a ball inside, 1-0.
Whatever it was that Green was doing to the Tigers that afternoon, trust me, they've made an adjustment here today. He will not have the same kind of success that he had against Tigers bats back on August 7th.
2 balls, no strikes on Kinsler.
And we told you about his fastball and his slider, but he also likes to cut the fastball as well. And he also has a pretty good changeup with some pretty good arm fade, some arm side fade to it.
3-0. Like a pretty good pitch there was dropped by Cervelli. Torrey Hunter waiting on deck. Here's the 3-0 pitch, and it's in there. A strike, 3-1 on Kinsler. Ian right now 5th in the American League, 153 hits. Second half of the season, a little bit more uneven than the first half was for Kinsler, who was over 300 in the first half. And there's ball 4, so a leadoff walk for the Tigers. Well, how about our player of the game selections? It's presented to you by McDonald's new triple cheeseburger for just $2, and I'm going to go with Ian Kinsler tonight.
I've got David Price this evening.
Shannon Hogan going with Nick Castellanos. There you go. Those are our 3 selections. That gentleman would choose Torrey Hunter if he had the opportunity. Hunter standing in right now with a man on, nobody out. Batting .277 with an 8-game hitting streak going. And a breaking ball drops in for a strike, 0-1. Green did walk 3 in the 8 innings that he faced the Tigers. Last time we saw him at Yankee Stadium, but it was an impressive outing for the young right-hander. Here's the 0-1. And it's in there, a strike, 0-2 on Torrey.
He had 90-something pitches going into the 9th inning, and Joe Girardi, the manager of the New York Yankees, sent him back out there for the 9th to get a complete game. But Tigers got a man aboard, and then Joe Girardi simply went to his bullpen.
That is popped up the right side of the infield. The second baseman, Prado, to the grass. And Torrey's out of there, 1 gone. It'll bring up Miguel Cabrera. Two-base hit in last night's ball game for Cabrera.
He swung the bat much better in last night's game. He also barreled up a couple of other balls during the course of the game, although he did just have that 1 double to show for it. But after a couple of days off, which was Sunday and Monday, it looked like Miggy was moving around rather good last night, especially on the defensive end. He made some outstanding defensive plays in last night's contest.
Well, Cabrera has not homered since August 2nd. That was against Colorado. So the 22-game drought is the longest of his career. Homerless drought. But still, through it all, Cabrera has knocked in 89 runs this year. 17 home runs overall. Here's the 0-1. High fly ball. Medium depth left field. He got underneath that one. Brett Gardner is under it. And there are two gone. Time now for the Bernstein advantage as Victor Martinez strolls in. And when you look at numbers and you look at matchups against the Yankees, Victor Martinez, an 8-game hitting streak against the Yanks.
Batting .375 with a homer, 3 driven in, couple of doubles.
And we'll see how they play defensively against Martinez. Play him to pull. The second baseman Prado is going to the grass.
The Yankees played every single left-hander the Tigers ran out there last night pretty much to pull. Of course, they play Avila the exact same way.
Jeter stays on the left side of the infield. Everybody else on the right side. Martinez last night was 1 for 4 in the ball game. Batting .327 now. In there for a strike. 0-1. Cervelli thought about throwing behind the base runner. He thought better of it. Altuve at .333 leads Victor Martinez. So as we get to the month of September, it's becoming more and more of a reality that Martinez is going to have a good shot at winning that batting title. Trailing Altuve just by 6 percentage points coming into play tonight. Here's the 0-1.
Pretty hard changeup here thrown that last pitch anyway to Victor Martinez at 87 miles an hour by Green, and he located it beautifully on the inner third of home plate.
Victor waiting on the 0-2, and down he goes on 3 pitches. Struck him out swinging, and the Tigers get a leadoff walk but do no damage. Top two here at the ballpark in a scoreless game here this evening. Tigers and the New York Yankees. Game 2 in this 3-game series. David Price going back to the hill, and he will face Brian McCann to start things off. The Yankees had a really good scoring chance in that first inning, but Price would eventually strike out the side. But he did throw 28 total pitches in that first. And Dave goes back to work now as we head to the second. And McCann looks at a ball outside, 1-0.
There can't be many left-handers walking around that has had the kind of success against David Price that McCann has. He's taken him deep 3 times in their meetings this year.
Whoa. There's a strike call, 1-1.
It took him deep at Yankee Stadium as well. David tried to sneak a fastball by McCann. That fastball stayed right over the heart of the plate. He hit it right over that short porch at 314 feet from home plate at Yankee Stadium.
Now the count 1-1. Castellanos moving from third to short right field, so they shift between pitches. And look at that, he hit it right by him, straight at Castellanos, but it eluded him.
He's got his number.
McCann continues to swing it against David Price, and while we have a chance, let's check in now with Shannon Hogan.
Well, you guys, David Price has been celebrating his 29th birthday all week. Of course, yesterday was the actual birthday, but on Monday he had a chance to play Oakland Hills Country Club, which is always fantastic. And also, his girlfriend surprised him with a helicopter tour above the city of Detroit. And as you can see, some really fantastic views from up there. He thought it was awesome. He said it was really neat to be able to see Comerica Park, Ford Field, just go along the river and the lake, and he really enjoyed it. But there is one thing, you guys, that he really wants for his birthday.
And that would be?
A win tonight.
Well, he'll get
That's the priority. That is the priority. I'll catch up with you guys a little bit.
All right, Shannon, thanks. Now, would you ever get in a helicopter?
I might get in a helicopter.
What about a blimp? I
would get in a blimp, too.
Yeah, I'm 0 for 2 on those.
You wouldn't get in either?
I don't think so.
But you get on roller coasters, though.
No, that I don't do. No. In fact, I'd get on a blimp and a helicopter before I got on a roller coaster. 1 strike is the count on Chase Headley. Leadoff man out, a single by McCann. And it's in there, a strike, 0-2. Headley coming over from the National League, the San Diego Padres, where he hit for a low batting average, only .229, but he did have 7 home runs. Knocked in 32 as a Padre. And for the most part has played some really good third base. Here's the 0-2. Missed inside, 1-2 on Chase Headley.
Their general manager, Brian Cashman, has made several really good deals. Under the radar moves, as you called them. Headley would be one. Martin Prado. Brandon McCarthy, last night's starter up until that start last night against Detroit. He had pitched very well for New York. Stephen Drew.
He thought about it, but did not go after it. You know, it seems like at the trading deadline, if it's not a big deal, nobody seems to pay attention to it. You need to make a big splash to get some attention. But I remember a few of these trades the Yankees made, thinking to myself, well, how is that going to help them? Or how is that going to help them? Collectively, it has.
I think what Brian Cashman was looking at is the fact that, yes, these guys were not having good years where they were playing at before the Yankees acquired them, but all of the guys have done some special things in the big leagues. And it's not that they're 39, 40 years old. I mean, most of these guys are still right in the primes of their careers.
Yeah, Prado's a good player. Headley has had a big year in the big leagues.
Stephen Drew is a terrific defender at shortstop, which allows them to DH Derek Jeter more than he would want to, but that would be Derek Jeter. But that's one of the reasons and one of the ways that Joe Girardi's been able to keep Derek Jeter healthy this year. More than likely, Derek will not play the day game tomorrow.
Slice to right center field. That'll drop, base hit. That'll move McCann to second base, and the Yankees now have 2 on and nobody out.
Second consecutive inning that David Price is pitching in a little bit of stress.
Yeah, the concern is as well the pitch count is up there. Only 2 batters into the second. That'll bring up Brett Gardner, who's back in their lineup tonight after missing 3 games.
Boy, you wonder if Joe Girardi will give the bunt sign here to Gardner, who was an outstanding bunter going up against the left-hander. And David Price. Castellanos is thinking so. He's relaying the signs to David Price, the pitcher, as to what to do and what he's going to do, whether he's going to charge or whether he's going to stay back if Gardner does bunt the ball on the ground in his direction. Gardner missed the last 3 games with a bad foot, fouling a ball off of his foot last Saturday at Yankee Stadium.
And he looks at ball 1 outside. Gardner at 269 has good power, 15 home runs, all of those hit out of the leadoff spot. Ellsbury, who hit a pair of home runs last night, is in the leadoff spot tonight. Yankees had a couple of men on in the first, did not score. And it's outside. 2-0 now on Brett Gardner.
Bob Davidson's got a really tight strike zone here tonight. And David has to recognize that very early on and just get a little bit more plate if he's going to get some of these balls called strikes. He hasn't been very efficient so far here tonight. Not David Price-like, especially with the amount of strikes that he throws in any one game.
Two-0 was in there, 2-1 the count. And now Gardner beefing a little bit with Davison. We've already seen a couple of the Yankees disagree with the strike zone early on here.
Totally different approach tonight against David Price versus the approach they had last night against Porcello. And they were very aggressive very early in the game last night against Porcello because Porcello throws so many strikes.
Pulled foul.
Porcello at it again last night. Another spectacular outing. Win number 15. The only thing he gave up last night was a couple of solo shots to Jacoby Ellsbury.
15th win of the season, not only a career high, but that ties him now with Max Scherzer for the lead in the American League.
Barely threw over 100 pitches in that game last night. Could have very easily went out there for the 9th inning.
Here's the 2-2. Bouncing ball slowly back up the middle. Kinsler flips to second, one in the relay. Not in time. Sore ankle and all. Gardner is able to beat it out. It'll put runners at first and third with one away.
Ball not hit it hard enough for the Tigers to turn 2. Ian Kinsler with a nice quick feed to Suarez. By the time Suarez got it to Miggy. And then Gardner crossing the bag.
First and third now with one out. Here is Francisco Cervelli. 278 for Cervelli. With McCann DHing tonight. Cervelli behind the dish.
No batting gloves for Cervelli. And very rare these days for any player not to wear batting gloves in the big leagues.
So Price, after giving up back-to-back singles, has runners at first and third, facing the number 9 hitter. Cervelli sends a chopper to second base. This could be 2, 4, 6, 3. The double play. Well, David had it turned over that time. And he pitches out of another jam. No runs, 2 hits. We go to the bottom of the second. Baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit's Hammond community since 1849. By the all-new Chrysler 200 America's Imports. And by Maxwell House Large Can Coffee, good to the last drop. Back here at Comerica Park as David Price gets a big double play. And that keeps the Yankees off the scoreboard. They've threatened in each of the first 2 innings, but have come up empty. And now the Tigers come to the dish against the right-hander Shane Green. It'll be J.D. Martinez, Nick Castellanos, Alex Avila. J.D. now with a 5-game hitting streak, had a big night last night, doubled, 2 runs, RBI, and finished the ball game with 3 hits. Martinez has also hit in 11 of his last 12. And he looks at a breaking ball, strike 0-1. Green missing inside, and the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike.
It's the one thing that Shane Green showed us a lot when the Tigers saw him back on August 7th. Not afraid to pitch inside aggressively with that fastball.
Green is 25 years old, was a 15th round pick, and the Yankees drafted him in 2009 out of Daytona State College. Underwent Tommy John surgery in his college days. Here's the 2-1. 2-2 now on JD.
They say he doesn't say a whole lot when he's in the clubhouse, which is pretty much the way you're supposed to carry yourself when you're a rookie in the big leagues. Be seen, not heard. Green has pitched very well. As a matter of fact, in all 4 of his road starts this year, the Yankees have won those games, so he's not afraid to pitch away from Yankee Stadium.
Good bender, got him looking, and Martinez disagrees with the call from Bob Davidson.
It's going to be one of them nights where every single hitter is beefing at the strike zone of Bob Davidson. Nice breaking ball here thrown by Green. It froze J.D. Martinez once the knees buckled, and there was nothing J.D. Martinez could do.
Becoming a theme, that's for sure, but that one was apparently in the strike zone according to Fox Track.
3 of the 4 pitches that Martinez saw from Green in that plate appearance were breaking balls. And that's something that J.D. Martinez should go right in his book.
Now Nick Castellanos swinging on the first, and he fouls it back out of play. Castellanos has hit safely in his last 5. Knocked in a run last night, finished 1 for 3.
Bottom of the Tigers batting order has been doing a pretty nice job the last 4 or 5 games. Castellanos, J.D. Martinez, Suarez has also gotten quite a few knocks.
Back up the middle, nice scoop there by Jeter, spinning and throwing him out. Well, he can still do it.
He does not have the great range that he once had when he first came up, but with the help of Mick Kelleher, who handles the infielders, Derek is always in the right position. Goes over, does not have to leave his feet, turns while both feet are off the ground, and still has enough arm strength to get the ball across the diamond to Mark Teixeira.
You brought up an important word there, Rod, and it seems like all defensive gurus always talk about positioning, and you don't need to have the greatest range, but the range obviously helps, but it's positioning that gets you or allows you to get to certain baseball.
No doubt, and that's one of the things that Mick Kelleher really helped out Derek Jeter with when he came over to the Yankees as their first base coach.
Shift on now for Avila. And this is a shift that we haven't seen a lot on, Alex. Yes, we have seen 3 defenders to the right of second base, but the shortstop hugging the line at third, and now Jeter will back up a little bit.
I think what Derek wanted to do was make sure that Avila didn't bunt on the first strike. Now, after there's 1 strike, he simply moves back to his shortstop position.
And the count goes 1-1. Avila has attempted to bunt against this shift in the past. So Jeter in effect took that away, and with a strike in the count, he is backed up. There's a check swing strike, and the count is 1-2. Here's the 1-2. Alex looks at it down low. 2 balls and 2 strikes on the Tigers catcher. Avila last night was 0 for 4. Eugenio Suarez waiting on deck. Swing and a miss. He dusted him with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. 3 strikeouts for Shane Green. In the inning, a nice defensive play as well.
Green's got some swagger.
He's shown it again tonight. Tigers baseball, presented by Bell Tire. Well, David Price made his Tigers debut on August 5th against these Yankees at Yankee Stadium and received a no decision.
Struck out 10 that night and did not walk a batter.
Now he faces them again here today at Comerica Park in a scoreless game as we go to the top of the 3rd.
In reality, all 4 Tigers starters had really good games at Yankee Stadium when the Tigers were there a couple of weeks ago, but they only got the 1 win in that 4-game series.
There's a base hit by Jacoby Ellsbury, who's having himself a series so far.
He is locked in. He is 7 for 11 on this current road trip.
A couple of hits in this game. That'll bring up Derek Jeter.
Check that. He is 8 for 11 on the road trip, which started in Kansas City with that makeup game on Monday night.
Look at this. Against David Price this year, 9 for 16.
They got some left-handers that got good numbers against Price.
Right, and that's what's McCann, the other, we talked about him. It's kind of amazing. Here's Jeter. Derek had a 9-pitch at bat his first time up that resulted in a strikeout.
Ellsbury's already stolen 1 base here today, which gives him a grand total of 36 on the season. He's only been caught 1 time. If you're David Price, you've got to try to the best of your ability and to keep your double play in order. Derek hits a lot of ground balls these days.
Oh, they got him picked off. Cabrera's throw to second, not in time. He stole it anyway. And the Tigers will take a look at this one for sure. Gene Lamont's going to pick up the phone. Brad Ausmus is going to take a stroll out to next, saying forget about it.
And Miggy throw that ball inside, which meant Suarez had to reach for it on the shortstop side of second base. And then by the time he was able to recover and get back and apply the tag, the left foot of Ellsbury already on the bag.
So the Tigers do not challenge. And once again, the Yankees with a man in scoring position. Jeter showing bunt, pushing it foul back into seats. 1-1. A couple more looks at that play at second. Yeah, that's a really good look right there. Tigers probably made the wise decision in not challenging that. 2 steals in the game now for Ellsbury. Yankees so far 0 for 5 tonight with men in scoring position. They've got a lot of chances already. Here's the 1-1. Jeter looks at a ball high, 2-1. Martin Prado waiting on deck. Drilled to right field. That is going to be a fair ball and go to the corner. That'll get a run in. Derek Jeter has picked up an RBI. He will cruise into second base, and the Yankees with a 1-0 lead.
It's exactly what Derek Jeter was trying to accomplish. He was trying to hit something to the right side of the field. And with a runner on second base, nobody out, he got a changeup that stayed up. And kept his hands in very nicely. We're going to show it to you in Phantom Cam. That is the Derek Jeter patent swing, the one that he's had for 20 years at this level.
Really has been impressive, and it has provided the majority of his 3,443 career hits now. Yankees have the lead with nobody out. Here is Martin Prado. In for a strike, 0-1.
Up next for Derek Jeter is Tris Speaker on the all-time hits list, and more than likely he will not get there. So he'll end up 6th all-time when he shuts it down at the end of this year, which is quite impressive.
Fouled back out of play, and the count now is no balls, 2 strikes. So David Price at this point now has hit 50 already.
19 of those have missed the strike zone. That's the surprising thing about the 50 pitches that he's already thrown today.
Especially with the command that he exhibited against his former team, the Tampa Bay Rays, in his last start. Missed inside, 1-2. A complete game that he threw against the Rays was his 3rd of the year. He's also had complete games against Seattle and Minnesota. He was able to wiggle out of a couple of jams, one in the first, one in the second, but the Yanks had picked up a run here in the 3rd. Here's the 1-2. Missed it outside. 2-2 now on Martin Prado. Prado was able to work a base on balls back in the 1st inning. Mark Teixeira waiting on deck. Line drive to left, that's a base hit. Martinez will charge it, and that will keep Jeter at 3rd base. 3 consecutive hits for the Yankees here in the 3rd.
can see that left hip of Prado. It opens up prematurely every swing that he takes, and really what he is trying to do every time he steps in that batter's box is hit the ball to left field. It's also very unusual for a guy to make contact and hit the ball as hard as Prado did with his back foot entirely off the ground.
Still nobody out in the inning. Yankees now have 6 hits. Teixeira struck out looking his first time up. And it's ball 1 high and away.
David Price only 5 of 13 in first pitch strikes so far here tonight against the Yankees. And they're pitching against them for the 4th time this season.
It's fouled back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Price, as a Tiger, has made starts against the Yankees, Toronto, Seattle, and Tampa.
Actually, this is the 5th time he's seen New York this year.
Drilled to right field. That ball is slicing away from Hunter, and it's going to land fair up against the wall. We'll get 1 run in. We'll hold Prado at third base as Jeter comes around to score. Mark Teixeira with a double, and it's 2-0 Yankees.
It's 4 straight hits against David Price. That's a fastball that's down and away from Teixeira. Teixeira able to slice that ball right inside the foul line down in the right field corner. Unusual situation for Jeff Jones regarding David Price. There's not been any of the starts that David Price has made where Jeff Jones has had to go out there with Price struggling on the mound.
Now it's going to be tough for David to go deep in this one based on his current pitch count rate. He's at 56. Teixeira has just knocked in his 55th run of the year. And 4 straight hits now for the Yankees. We'll bring up Carlos Beltran. Beltran struck out to end the first. Drives this one to right field. That ball is hit well. Torrey going back. He looks up, and that's up against the wall. Another run will score. They'll hold Teixeira at third base. That is a long single for Carlos Beltran. And 5 straight hits now for the Yankees to make it 3-0.
One of the things that the right-handers have done here in this particular inning, whether it be Jeter, whether it be Teixeira batting right-handed, or Beltran, all the guys driving the ball the other way. 2 fastballs and a changeup. Jeter hit a changeup the opposite way for his double.
And there is still nobody out. There's Brian McCann. That makes it 3 runs on 8 hits now for the Yankees. And McCann stares at a strike, going 1. He had a single to start things off in the second. One ball, 1 strike. Well, we didn't expect this to be happening, but it is. Blaine Hardy is warming up in the 3rd inning of this game. The Tigers got to get the bullpen going here with the pitch count of Price. And the fact that he has not gotten out here in the 3rd. And that's to center field. That's going to drop in. Another hit for the Yankees. McCann will drive in a run to make it 4-0. That'll That'll be 6 consecutive hits to greet David Price here in the third. Still nobody out for Chase Headley. McCann with RBI 56. Headley singled in his first at bat. Ball low. Price already has allowed 9 hits in this game, the most he has given up in a contest this year, 11 to the Angels on the road back in May.
Usually does not give up 4 runs in a game either. And that's how dominant he's been really all year long.
2-0. Headley had himself a good rip on 2-0, fouled it straight back, 2-1. Two Yankees aboard. They've got Beltran and McCann on with nobody out. And 4 runs in here in the third for the Yanks. Bouncing ball left side. How about that? It's going to find a hole. Another base hit. They'll hold the runner at third. And they are loaded up now. And that is 7 straight hits against Price. So here is the Lowe's never stop improving stat. We talk about David Price, some of his AL ranks. He is certainly not used to seeing what is transpiring here in the third inning.
David does give up some hits, and he has given up quite a few home runs this year for a guy that has the kind of stuff that he has. But usually he is able to slow the opposition down. Those hits and those home runs don't usually translate into a bunch of runs against him.
That's an even 10 hits on the board now for the Yankees. And here is Brett Gardner. They are loaded up, nobody out. And Gardner sends a ground ball left side deep in the hole. Suarez has no play. It's an infield hit, and the Yankees score another run to make it 5-0.
Brad Ausmus is getting really close to having to go out there and get David Price. And with the speed here of Gardner, there was no play for Suarez.
5 runs in. And now here is Francisco Cervelli as Hardy continues to warm up. And the Yankees now are going for 9 consecutive hits. Cervelli hit into a double play his first time up. Ball low, 1-0. So Price now has thrown 23 in this inning, has not recorded an out yet. And Cervelli trying to really bust this one wide open. Here's the 1-0. That's in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Yankees began this game 0 for 5 with men in scoring position. Since they've gone 7 for 7. They've kept the heat on David all night long. Here's the 1-1. Bouncing ball left side. It's going to find a hole and a base hit. Another run will score, and the Yankees are just going station to station. This is unbelievable. 9 straight hits in this inning. It's going to be it. And Brad Ausmus really has no choice but to come out and get Price, who will not survive the third. 9 consecutive hits to start the inning, and the Tigers are forced to go to the bullpen. So Blaine Hardy will come in and say, Wallside Windows pitching change. We'll be back. Now, as you look at the wild card, have pulled into a tie with Seattle behind the Oakland A's, who own the first wild card position.
It's the second really difficult start that David Price has had this year against the Yankees. And back on the 17th of April, he lasted just 5 innings in a game against New York in Tampa, and he gave up 6 earned runs in that game.
There's Jacoby Ellsbury, who was 2 for 2 against Price.
Price has already given up 6 here today, and the 3 base runners that are out there are his responsibility.
Single, stolen base, and a run scored. Let's look at the numbers on Blaine Hardy. 9 straight hits to start this inning.
I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
I was thinking about it as it was happening, and I can't recall ever seeing a team bat around and everybody get a base hit.
Especially against a guy the caliber of David Price. But you could really see from the word get-go in this particular game that Price really didn't have it, for whatever reason.
Fly ball down the left field line. On the move is Martinez. Hedley will tag at third. Catch is made by J.D. Gardner diving into third base as well, so everybody moves up. It'll be a sacrifice fly for Jacoby Ellsbury. That'll score Chase Hedley, and that'll make it a 7-0 ball game. And here is Jeter, who earlier in the inning doubled in a run. Now the Tigers will pull the infield in here. A 7-run third for New York. Ball high. 7 runs on 12 Yankees hits. Way outside, spinning Avila off his feet. 2 balls, no strikes on Derek Jeter. Double and a strikeout for Jeter, plus an RBI. Shortest start for David Price since the 4th of July 2009, when he was bounced out of a game in Texas in the 2nd inning. Slap back out of play. 2-1 on Jeter. Jeter in the pregame ceremony was given a pair of seats from Old Tiger Stadium as his parting gift from the Tigers organization.
Tigers also made a nice considerable donation to his foundation.
Ball high, 3-1.
Talking to Derek in the Yankee clubhouse before the game today, and I was asking him, was he tired of talking as much as he's had to talk this year, with this being his final season? And he said, no, it's nothing really new for me. I've been doing it for 20 years wearing this Yankee uniform.
Yes, he has.
He is the captain.
3-1 is hammered to center field. And that's going to be caught by Davis. Runner with tag. Gardner will come in to score. It'll be another sacrifice fly. Here are some of the highlights of that pregame ceremony today.
Some of his former teammates took place at the ceremony. Phil Koch. And also Jabba Chamberlain, David Dombrowski, Willie Horton, Al Kaline, Derek's mom and dad and sister, nephew.
That right there was pretty cool, too. 3 paintings, one of his days in Kalamazoo Central, one as a Yankee playing in Tiger Stadium, and one as a Yankee playing in Comerica Park.
Al Kaline said yesterday regarding Derek Jeter that he's been around a lot of players in the game, of course, and he is one of the classiest men that I know. That would be Al Kaline. And he said Derek Jeter and Stan the Man Musial of the St. Louis Cardinals, 2 of the classiest to ever wear big league uniforms.
One ball, no strikes on Martin Prado. To another count.
Of course, Al Kaline would not put himself in that same category, but those of us here in Tigerland, we know him as being an outstanding individual.
As classy as they come, Mr. Tiger. The thing that's amazing about Jeter is, and you kind of touched on this, when you play in New York, the microscope you're under is like no other city in the country.
Very few are able to go there and really keep their noses clean, whether they're getting into some trouble off the field or with media or something, but not Derek. Great parents. They taught him very well.
Here's the 2-1. And it's going to go to 3-1 now on Martin Prado. Cervelli, the runner at second base, is still property of David Price. So to this point, he's been charged with 8 runs.
And the 8 runs that he's been charged with here today are the most that he's given up in any game.
Three and 2. Prado thought he had a walk. I don't get back out of play. Prado already with a single and a walk in this contest. 8 runs on 12 hits for the Yankees. The first 9 consecutive Yankees reaching on a base hit here in the third, then a pair of sacrifice flies. Bouncing ball toward third on the backhand, Castellanos. And that will finally bring an end to this inning. However, it's a huge inning. 8 runs coming in for the Yanks. They knock David Price out of the game, and we go to the bottom of the third. Brought to you by Arby's. We have the meats. And by Bell Tire. Get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. Back here in downtown Detroit. Well, look what happened here. 8-0 in favor of the Yankees. They score all 8 in the top of the third. And now Shane Green will take the mound. Last time we saw him was about a half hour ago.
At least.
And so Green will face Suarez, Davis, and Kinsler. He has given up a walk, but really the Tigers have not threatened against him yet.
We are an hour and 20 minutes into this game, and this is Suarez's first at bat.
Suarez, the number 8 hitter, stands in. Tigers have some major work to do now, down by an 8 spot. See if they can start chipping away. Shane Green goes to work, and he delivers strike 1. Suarez batting .260 on the year for the Tigers. They'll rifle that one foul down the third base line, 0-2. Eugenio was knocked in 18, was hit by a pitch in the ball game last night, was 0-2. Missed it inside, tried to break one on the inside part of the plate, but could not hit the zone. 1-2 the count. Suarez drills one down the left field line. That ball is up, and it is foul. Man, just down that left field line. He took a shot at 345. Foul all the way. And he tipped it into the glove for strike 3, so he ends up striking out, and that's 4 of them now already for Green. So through 30 pitches in this game, 21 strikes for Green. And he's picked up 4 strikeouts already. Rajai Davis will stand in. 8 scoreless against the Tigers his first time out. That was back at Yankee Stadium on August 7th.
He's got a plus fastball. Fastball gets all the way up to 96. Average heater about 93, 94. That last one to Rajai at 93. He's got a nice slider. Also cuts the fastball and an occasional changeup. Part of the 4-pitch mix for Shane Green.
Fastball looks like it has some jump to it, too.
Comes out of his hand nicely.
1 for 2 last night for Rajai. Had a double, an RBI, swinging a minute.
There's that slide piece. Oh, could have been a cutter, but it's 89 miles an hour. Whatever it was unhittable. Slider.
Got him. Davis fishing.
Hey fans, Friday, September 5th, the Tigers open a 3-game series with the San Francisco Giants. Fans are invited to stay after the game for a spectacular fireworks display. Call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. It'll be the first visit back here to Comerica Park for the Giants since 2012 when they won the World Series right here.
And they did some celebrating on this field.
Didn't they, though?
You got a bird's eye view of that. That was not a good thing to watch. There's a fly ball in a shallow left field off the bat of Kinsler. And Green, after that lengthy wait, comes back with a 1-2-3 inning. Tweet your photo using hashtag #DetroitFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. And the Tigers going right back to the bullpen now. They gave up an 8 spot as the Yankees knocked out David Price in the 3rd inning.
This might be one of those games where Brad Ausmus does not want to stress out any one of his bullpen members, simply going to give several guys an opportunity to pitch here tonight. Phil Koch's been outstanding since the middle of June. His ERA is under 2. Overall, his ERA is under 4.5.
So Koch goes to work now, and he will face Mark Teixeira. Teixeira, Beltran, and then McCann here in the 4th inning. And Koch delivers outside, 1-0. 2-base hit, knocked in a run for Mark Teixeira. That was part of that 8-run third in which the Yankees sent 9 straight men to the plate to start the inning, and each and every one of them picked up a base hit. That hadn't been done in over a year. That's rolled foul. The Cardinals did it to the Pirates last year.
This will be the first year in the last 20 seasons where the Yankees will end up with not one player on their team driving in 100 runs. And Jacoby Ellsbury leads their team in runs driven in. He won't drive in 100 this year. But the last 2 decades, first time.
Pull down the left field line, hooking foul.
Just kind of gives you an idea of some of the things that they've gone through this year as an offensive club.
Well, when you start comparing numbers and you see that guys like Teixeira has 54, McCann 55, Gardner 52, their leaders are in the 50s, and as you mentioned, Ellsbury was 60. It's un-Yankee-like. Over the years have put up big offensive numbers,
especially playing in their ballpark where they have so many left-handed bats.
No doubt, it's a different look. Jeter in his final season has 36 RBIs to this point. Here's the 2-2. Bouncing ball to short. Suarez plays the hop. Teixeira's out, 1 away. We'll bring up Carlos Beltran. Hardy came on to get the 3 outs in the 3rd, and now Koch pitching here in the 4th. Tigers, with their win last night, came in with a little bit of momentum. They had won 3 straight,
and with David Price on the mound,
things were looking pretty good. Beltran in the ball game, single strikeout plus an RBI. Ball low.
Even the best pitcher in the game, and David Price is one of the top 2-3 pitchers in baseball. Once you go up against a team 5 times in any one season, they are bound to figure you out. Unusual for you to have to pitch against any team 5 times during the course of the regular year.
Of course, with Tampa, he was in the same division with the Yankees, so I saw him quite a bit, where the Tigers played the Yankees just once on the road and once at home.
And he just happened to get 2 of those starts.
Koch behind 2-0 on Beltran. And it's in there. A strike call, 2-1.
As a matter of fact, Price has made 5 starts in a Tiger uniform, and 4 of the 5 starts have come against teams in the American League East.
You just can't get away from him, can he?
Nope.
Here's the 2-1. Low, 3-1. Brian McCann waiting on deck. A 3-1 coming to Koch. Bouncing ball again to short. Suarez plays a high hop. Beltran is out. A couple of ground balls. 6-3 in the scorebook. 2 up, 2 down. Here's Brian McCann. You certainly don't want to see the Tigers go too deep in the bullpen like they're going to have to do tonight. They've had to do that on so many occasions. Another one coming up Saturday as Castellanos moves now to short right field. Shift being employed by the Tigers. McCann is 2 for 2. Backed him out of there 1-0. That's in for a strike. Tigers this year have already gone much deeper into the minor leagues to get some help for the starting rotation with some injuries. Of course, Sanchez is still out. Verlander was out for a spell. They've used Buck Farmer, Robbie Ray. Kyle Lobstein will make a start tomorrow against Hiroki Kuroda in the final game of this series. Outside, the count goes to 2-1. Jose Alvarez was the only guy that made a start in the rotation last year that was not in the original starting five. That's how healthy the Tigers were last year. Here's the 2-1. 2-2 now on Brian McCann.
Brian McCann was an outstanding performer for the Atlanta Braves. He won a lot of Silver Slugger awards. He was the best hitting catcher in the senior circuit while he was over there, but those numbers have not translated yet so far in Yankee land, batting just .240 with 15 homers.
Yeah, McCann was a guy that typically would get 20 home runs at least every year. Now he may end up there this year, but the batting average way down. He was a .277 career hitter with Atlanta, and he came in tonight batting .236. The RBI is down. And he's gone 3-2 here against Coke. Fouled away. He was one of the splashy signings in the offseason. 5-year deal in December that he inks with the Yankees. I think there's much to the old thought of going from league to league and facing different pitching.
Not as much as it used to be because of interleague play. And really, you've got interleague play all year round these days.
Very true. 3-2, got it. And it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning for Phil Coke. Couple of grounders and a strikeout. Nicely done. Here comes the bottom of the fourth.
summer, the New York Yankees scored 8 runs in the 3rd inning. Yes, 8 runs in the 3rd inning against David Price. They sent about 12 or 13 men to the plate. They had 9 hits in a row. All the right-handers seem to be taking the ball the opposite way. Call me crazy, but if I didn't know any better, the Yankees must have felt like he was tipping his pitches, or he was tipping his pitches here today, because you don't usually see guys the caliber of a David Price give up as many runs as he gave up here today, and not 9 hits in a row, although several of those hits were not hit very hard.
Well, it doesn't happen very often, but it did happen last year. The last time a team had 9 straight hits was in the 3rd inning, the Cardinals against the Pirates. It was September of last year. And it's happened again here this season as Torrey Hunter leads it off in the bottom of the 4th. Hunter, Cabrera, Martinez, 2, 3, and 4 facing the right-hander, Shane Green. And Green has been in command so far.
Green has only thrown a total of 37 pitches, and he has hit the strike zone with the majority of those. Fastball anywhere from 91 to 95. And even though they have a big lead, Cervelli continues to call all of Green's pitches. That last pitch was a slider. He continues to call the cutter. And of course, that fastball, Tigers have not been able to catch up to that yet.
Here's the 2-1. Bouncing ball foul, 3rd base side.
That's a good 2-seam fastball inside to Torrey Hunter at 94 with some late life on it. Not a straight fastball.
He's about to throw just his 40th pitch of the night. Hunter popped up in his first at bat. Here's the 2-2. Torrey slices that one foul. Tigers still in search of their first hit, as a matter of fact. Green has retired 9 straight. He walked Kinsler, the first man he faced tonight, and then he's retired everybody since. Right back up the middle. There's your first hit. A single by Torrey. And the leadoff man on.
Here is our Xfinity high-speed pitch on Shane Green. And fastballs in the mid-90s pretty much all night long. His top fastball, well, 95.
He'll face Miguel Cabrera. That is the first Tigers base runner since the 1st inning tonight. Miggy fly to left field his first time up. Green has not had a pitch from the stretch all that often this evening. Cabrera came into this ball game 3rd in the American League in runs scored. Only Brian Dozier had more, and Mike Trout. Those are the top 2 in runs scored. Drill down the left field line. That's going to get down and go to the wall. Hunter coming to 3rd base. They're going to wave him around. Torrey will score. It's a double and an RBI for Cabrera.
Told you that Green has that natural sink on his fastball. This last pitch to Miguel Cabrera at 93 miles an hour, but Mickey just simply dropped the bat head right down in the strike zone and whistled that ball down in the left field corner. Gardner, the left fielder, appeared to have a little difficulty with it, and Torrey Hunter running all the way from first base, able to score. Actually, that ball hit that pole and took a tricky hop on Brett Gardner. Got Miguel Cabrera his 90th RBI of the year, looking for 100, which would give him 11 straight years of driving in 100 or more.
Well, here is Martinez now with nobody out. The Tigers string together their first 2 hits of the game, and it produces their first run. Start here tonight by Green represents the 53rd start by a rookie starting pitcher for the Yankees. 53 of them. which is the most in the major leagues. Green, however, has been good. Now, those do include starts from Tanaka, who's considered a rookie. Here's the 0-1. Chopped foul, 0-2.
Last I heard on Tanaka, he was scheduled to throw a simulated game here tomorrow morning at Comerica Park. He's thrown several sides. No pain. They're hoping to get him back. At least they'll find out what that elbow feels like the remaining month of the season. Therefore, there's no question marks going into the offseason regarding Tanaka.
Be a huge lift for the Yanks. And the 0-2. Grounded foul down the first base line. Green struck out Martinez on 3 pitches in the first inning. Victor now has hit 25 homers, which equals his career high that he established in 2007 as a member of the Indians. Ground ball right side. This will advance the runner. Out in the grass, Prado throws him out. First out of the inning. It'll bring up J.D. Martinez. Here you go, 52 coming in. The start by Green is 53 tonight by rookies. Arizona next in line with 37.
Seattle also starting quite a few rookies this year, but they're winning a few games when their rookies start. 17 and 18 is Seattle when a rookie starts for them.
Meanwhile, the Yankees have won a majority of the games started by their rookies. So here is J.D. Martinez. 8-1 ball game. We play in the 4th. J.D. struck out back in the 2nd. Good breaking ball there, 0-1. He's had a good one of those tonight. Way outside, 1 ball, 1 strike on J.D.
JD's had a pretty good approach the last couple of weeks, starting to spread the ball all around the ballpark again. That's where that batting average gotten back up to over 300. He sits at 311 as we speak, but he had dipped under 300 for a couple of games.
Pulled on the ground to third, right behind the bag. Cabrera will not move. Ooh, good pick down there at first base by Teixeira.
He's got a nice glove, Teixeira, over at first base. He's won Gold Gloves in the past. Very soft hands on balls in the dirt.
That's 50 now for Shane Green. 15 of them in this inning, his longest so far. 2 gone, and that's going to leave it up to Nick Castellanos. Grounded to the shortstop Jeter his first time up. Ball inside, 1-0. Castellanos came into this ball game with 19 hits and 12 RBIs in his last 16 games. He has really turned up the production. Breaking ball missing in, 2-0 the count on Castellanos.
It's a good count to hit in if you're Castellanos. You can take one swing at trying to find a gap somewhere. You can take a swing at trying to hit it out of the ballpark.
He took a swing. Came up empty, 2-1.
93-mile-per-hour sinker there thrown by Green. You can see why Green has success at this level. Nothing he throws is straight. And even though the velocity gets all the way up to 95, 96, those pitches have late life to them as well.
Three and one. Avila waiting his turn on deck. To third base. Headley. His throw is on the mark, and the Tigers will settle for one run. 4 in the books at Comerica. Law firm, official legal services sponsor of Fox Sports Detroit, and by the new Chevy Silverado light duty and heavy duty lineup. Well, it's all Yankees so far in this one. They scored all 8 of their runs in the 3rd frame tonight, and they lead 8-1 as we go to the 5th. Phil Koch goes back to the hill after a snappy 1-2-3 4th inning. He'll face the bottom 3. It'll be Chase Headley, Brett Gardner, and Francisco Cervelli. Bryce was bounced out in the 3rd. Hardy came on to get the final 3 outs. Then Koch, a 1-2-3 4th inning. Chase Headley now at 252, has a couple of singles in this ball game tonight. And he swings right through the first, 0-1. We've seen Koch in just about every different kind of situation this year, with the exception of closing games. He's been pitching later in games as he has improved the last month or so, but he was called on here early in this one tonight.
Brett Ausmus really handled Phil Koch in a masterful way. Earlier this year, when Phil was really struggling in the month of April, Brad did not give up on him, continued to find situations for Phil to pitch in. And you can argue that lately, there's been nobody in that Tigers bullpen better than Phil Koch. Nobody.
There's a ball high, 2-1.
Since mid-June, I believe his earned run average is under 2.
Well, the thing about Coke is, and Brad used to say it, you know, as he was sticking with him in the month of August, guys that throw 95 from the left side, I mean, you don't find these guys everywhere. And Phil had the skills, just in a severe funk. His line right to the center fielder, Davis, one gone. So Coke now has retired 4 straight, and that'll bring up Brett Gardner. Infield single back in the 3rd. It's funny, you look back at that 3rd inning, and it all got started with Jacoby Ellsbury stealing a base on a play that he was picked off. And had they been able to throw him out, it's probably a much different inning. Gardner takes strike 1. Tigers tonight have been out hit 12-2, and they trail 8-1. We're in the 5th. He's low and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Gardner was also signed to a nice contract extension, a 4-year extension with the Yankees. That was in February. And it's going to extend through 2018, club option for 2019. And he's done some nice work in a Yankees uniform.
When the Tigers were in New York a couple of weeks ago, Brett Gardner was the hottest Yankee. He had 15 homers at that time. Still stuck on 15 homers. But he's got a lot of speed.
We'll pull that one to right field, sinking and caught by Torrey. 2 gone here in the 5th. Well, just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. So Coke now has come on, retired 5 in a row. Here is Francisco Cervelli. Cervelli provided the 9th of the 9 consecutive hits in that 3rd, an RBI single. 1-0. Bullpen now, since coming on, has retired 8 straight. Really, all they can do right now is keep it where it is and hope the Tiger lineup will start to chip away. They got 1 back in the 4th. Bouncing ball left side of the infield on the backhand, Suarez. And it's going to be another 1-2-3 for Phil Coke. 6 up, 6 down against the Tigers, Bucky. Tigers baseball tonight presented by Bell Tire. Got a couple of Red Wings in the house. There's Chris Draper on the right.
I saw Chris Draper in Toronto, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I took a picture with him.
Henrik Zetterberg here also was sporting the Old English D.
Yeah, I forget which day it was, but I left the broadcast booth, and he was up there hanging out in one of the suites, and I asked him for a picture, and he took one with me.
Nice. That'll be a nice little addition to your man cave.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, how about some players to play 20 or more seasons for one franchise? We talked about Derek Jeter spending 20 with the Yankees. Of course, there have been some Tigers as well.
Al Kaline, Alan Trammell, Tyrus Cobb.
And how about some Wings, too? You got Alex Delvecchio, Steve Yzerman, Nick Lidstrom. All 20 or more seasons with the Red Wings. Avila slaps the first pitch into left field, going to drop, base hit. So Alex wasting a little time, leadoff single here in the fifth. He's going to bring up Suarez, who struck out his first time up. The Tigers strung together a couple of hits in the fourth to get a run. Now they have a leadoff single here in the fifth. Suarez was in a 12 for 27 stretch, but he went 0 for 2 last night. Tigers trying to chip away here. Still have some time, but they've got some runs to make up and a strike call.
Well, they better do it in a hurry, because that back end of the Yankees bullpen, should Joe Girardi need it today, it's pretty good. They strike out a lot of batters. Yankees bullpen, they have some really good arms in that bullpen.
Here's the 0-1, and it's scooped up, 1 ball, 1 strike. There's more action in the Detroit bullpen. It appears that Patrick McCoy will be the next to come in. Phil Cope 2 scoreless innings. Suarez hits a high fly ball, shallow left field. Gardner coming in. First out of the inning. That'll bring up Rajai Davis. Rajai, not a whole lot of success his first time up against the right-hander Green. He struck out swinging on a pitch way out of the strike zone. They're playing behind Avila with a 7-run spread, and it's in there for a strike 0-1. Davis last night 1 for 2, had a double, had an RBI.
A hustling double for Rajai Davis. Bang bang play at second base.
That one drilled Cervelli, and down he goes.
It's gonna hurt for a while.
Maybe longer than a while, the way it looks right now, because Cervelli's on his back.
We'll give you one look at it.
Do we have to?
Yeah, got to give him one look at least.
Really? All right, there's your look. Now let's move on. Did he get his bare hand too? Well, he's on his feet.
If it hit the hand, he's not feeling the hand.
Oh, no. No, that's a good point.
Man, oh man.
Well, every game counts. Deposits are now being taken for postseason luxury suite packages. All packages include a credit to be used toward a 2015 suite package. Call 313-471-2222 for more information. Yes, it's funny when it's the other guy.
Cervelli trying to walk it off now.
Well, here's that playoff picture again. The Yankees come in 7 back in the East. The Tigers game and a half out. But as we look at the wild card, these are two teams right now that are battling for it.
Yankees only 3 back to Seattle and also the Tigers. Seattle lost their game earlier today, so if the Tigers would go on to lose this game, then Seattle would jump back ahead of the Tigers by half a game.
So Cervelli now is able to at least continue. With a constant reminder of that last foul ball. 0-2 on Rajai Davis. Swing and a miss. Did it to him again. Davis is out of there.
Yeah, Rajai can't lay off that green slider so far here tonight. Second time he's gotten him on the same exact pitch. That is the 6th strikeout for Green tonight.
Here's Ian Kinsler. Kinsler a walk and a fly out. Missed it inside 1-0.
Yankees looking to go 5-0, and Green starts on the road this year.
CRA away from Yankee Stadium 2.59. He's done nothing to hurt that tonight. He's given up 1 run as we play here in the 5th. It's outside, 2 balls, no strikes.
And due to the fact that the Yankees have played without most of their regular players all year, as we get a look at Green's splits, home and road, Joe Girardi is probably going to get some serious consideration for manager of the year this year if his Yankees continue to stay right in the race.
Agreed. And he should. In fact, I was thinking about this today. It just came to mind. So I was looking up some of the numbers on Girardi earlier this year. In fact, he won his 700th game against the Tigers. But the job he has done has been spectacular this year.
Some other managers will get consideration as well. Lloyd McClendon of the Seattle Mariners. Buck Showalter will also be in that conversation.
3-1 on Kinsler. Torrey Hunter waiting on deck. He went around, says Bob Davidson, 3-2.
When Tim McCarver decided to retire after last year's World Series, there was a strong rumor out there that Fox really wanted Joe Girardi to take that seat, vacated by Tim McCarver. But of course, Joe Girardi still wanted to manage. He was a free agent at the time, so he could have done whatever he wanted to do. That's how well he is thought of as a broadcaster.
Swing and a miss. Manny carved him up at falling behind. 7 strikeouts for Shane Green. 5 in the books here at Comerica Park, and the Yankees continue to lead 8-1.
8 p.m. Don't miss Derek Jeter's final regular season game in Detroit. For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER, or you can simply visit tigers.com.
So the Tigers trail this one big time. 8-1 is our score. And the Yankees will have the top of the lineup coming up here in the 6th inning. Jacoby Ellsbury will start things off. And then Derek Jeter and Martin Prado. Patrick McCoy is the new Tigers pitcher. Good work by Phil Coates. 6 up, 6 down. Here at 1, 2, 3 frames. He struck out 1, got 3 ground ball outs as you scope out the numbers on McCoy. Here's the 0-1. Ellsbury looks at a ball high. 1-1 count. Drilled to right field, right at Torrey Hunter. Almost hit hard. Man, Ellsbury's having some good at-bats tonight.
Jacoby is locked in right now. He's back in a familiar leadoff spot after really batting third the majority of the season.
That'll bring up Derek Jeter. Two RBIs tonight for Jeter. Double and a sacrifice fly. Part of the 8-run third, the only inning the Yankees have scored in tonight. And McCoy misses low, 1-0. Ground ball to short. 2 steps to his left, Suarez. Throw was high, but Miggy comes down with it. 2 gone. It'll bring up Martin Prado. McCoy, you might remember, probably had his best outing for the Tigers in that 19-inning game in Toronto when he threw 3 scoreless innings. Really came up big out of the bullpen that day, even though the Tigers ended up losing. Was able to chew up 3 of those innings. Prado stands in 1 for 2. He also has a walk in this game. Strike called, 0-1. We'll finish up the series tomorrow. Kyle Lobstein will get the start. Day game against the Yankees, and then the Tigers hit the road. They'll shoot that one to right field, a 2-out single.
Kyle Lofstein made his major league debut last Saturday afternoon in Minnesota and pitched 5 2/3 innings for the Tigers, and really saved that Tigers bullpen after they had really gotten beaten up on Friday and the first game on that Saturday. Brett Ausmus still talks about that outing by Lobstein. As a matter of fact, it earned him another start.
That single, by the way, snaps the string of 11 straight retired by the Detroit bullpen. Strike called on Mark Teixeira, who in this ball game has an RBI double. 1 for 3 for Teixeira. One ball, 1 strike. Teixeira looks at a ball high, run it to 2-1. Back in 2009, Teixeira signed a long deal with the Yankees. In fact, an 8-year contract. He missed most of last year with an arm problem that he suffered early in the season. In fact, before the season even started, which pretty much shelved him for the entire campaign. Here's the 2-2. Chopper foul, third base side. But he's had some big years in the big leagues. Teixeira, his first 5 years, as a matter of fact, came with Texas.
He was outstanding in college as well. He played his college ball at Georgia Tech. Nomar Garcia-Parra also played his college ball at Georgia Tech. Jason Varitek.
Tigers had a rookie debut this year from Georgia Tech, Buck Farmer.
Buck Farmer.
Here's the 2-2. Got him, strike 3. So McCoy does a nice job. 2-out single, no damage. Bottom of the 6th coming up. Turning into a great race in the Central. The Tigers trailing KC by a game and a half.
That outfield defensively for the Kansas City Royals, one of the best in baseball, with Dyson in center field, Kane in right, and Alex Gordon, who's had a stranglehold on that Gold Glove from his left field position the last 3 years. Kansas City has got to slow down, right?
Still waiting for it, but I assume eventually it will happen. There's Torrey Hunter. Breaking ball drops in for a strike, 0-1.
I guess Ned Yost said some things last night after their game that I guess the fans didn't appreciate very much.
The 0-1 is outside.
After Alex Gordon hit his walk-off home run, when Ned Yost went to go do his press conference, the first words that came out of his mouth after he was asked about the win, too bad there weren't many people here to see it.
Well, here's the 1-1. Obviously, that's commentary on the attendance they've been getting.
Right.
The timing of the comment may have not been the best.
Well, the Yankees were just there on Monday night, and they packed the house for the Yankees.
Yeah.
But the next day, they drop all the way back to 20,000 fans.
Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss. 2-2 on Torrey.
Which really makes you appreciate what the Tigers have here in Detroit. this place seems to be packed every single night. Monday night, Thursday afternoon. Looking to go over 3 million fans once again at Comerica Park.
Another jammed house here again tonight. Fortunately, the Yankees put up 8 in the third. There's a fly ball in the air toward left center. And Brett Gardner is there. Hunter is out, 1 gone. We'll bring up Miguel Cabrera. When you look at the Tigers box score tonight, they've been limited to just 3 hits. That's it. And you've got to look at Shane Green. I mean, it's the second time he's done this to the Tigers now. The first time he went 8 strong against Detroit. He's doing it again here today. Cabrera takes strike 1.
Talked about this a couple of innings ago. Green not afraid to go inside with that fastball in the mid-90s. Back-to-back mid-90s fastballs inside to Miggy.
He missed outside that time, 2-1. Breaking ball on 2-1 is rolled slowly toward Jeter. Cabrera's out, 2 gone. A lot of ground balls in this game to go with the strikeouts for Green. And here is Martinez, who has 1 of each, a strikeout and a ground out. So they'll play Victor to pull. Steely-eyed look of Shane Green, who's been in control all night. That's fouled back out of play. Well, based on what they've seen so far from Shane Green, they've got to be real excited about his prospects in the future.
They probably wouldn't have had this long a look at Green had some of their other starting pitchers stayed healthy, so it's kind of a blessing in disguise for the New York Yankees. He is 17 of 22 in first pitch strikes.
Driven deep to right. This ball's going to go way out of here and gone for Martinez.
That strike went a long way. Career high in home runs now for Victor. 26 of them.
85th RBI of the year. It's an 8-2 ball game. This was a no-doubter.
He has hit quite a few no-doubters this season.
So much so that Beltran didn't even move in right.
And Victor told me earlier this year that his legs this season much stronger than they've ever been.
There's a base hit to right field as Martinez inside out swing. JD is aboard.
Not only are his legs much stronger, but Victor, from an upper body standpoint, got as strong as he possibly could before this season began. 93-mile-per-hour fastball that stayed right over the heart of the plate by Victor.
here is Castellanos. Tigers now have 5 hits. And Nick looks at a strike 0-1. 8 runs, 13 hits for the Yankees. 2 runs on 5 hits for the Tigers. Bouncing ball left side, and the hole. Jeter with the backhanded play gets the force at second to retire the side. Tigers get another run back. Victor goes deep, celebrates his 26th of the year. Seventh inning here at Comerica Park. 8 runs, 13 hits for the Yankees. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Tigers. Home run by Victor Martinez has gotten the Tigers another run, but in the meantime, here come the Yanks. With Carlos Beltran leading it off in the 7th inning. It'll be Beltran, McCann, and Chase Headley against the lefty Patrick McCoy, who came on in the 6th. And he delivers a ball outside, 1-0. Tremendous work out of the Tigers bullpen tonight after Price gave up 8 runs in the 3rd to be taken out of this ball game. Hardy, Koch, and now McCoy have kept the Yankees off the board. In fact, the Yankees in the first 3 innings had 13 base runners, and they've had only 1 since. Beltran waiting on a 1-1. Here it is, and a ground ball foul. Single to knock in a run in the 8-run 3rd for Beltran. He has missed some time as well this year with a bone spur in his elbow. Missed 21 games. And it's a strike called. Got him looking.
Here is the call of the game. Phil Koch came into this ball game back in the 4th inning. He retired the side in order in the 4th, and then Brad Ausmus sent him back out there for the 5th, and Phil Koch did exactly the same thing. He retired all 6 batters that he faced in this contest. Phil Koch's numbers since June 16th. .225 earned run average. 21 strikeouts for Phil and 10 base on balls.
Brian McCann, 2 out of 3 in this ball game. Big swing there, 0-2. McCann both singles. In fact, the Yankees have a total of 13 hits. 11 of them are singles. Here's the 0-2. Bouncing ball right side, right into that shift, but it's cut off by Kinsler. McCann is out 4-3, 2 up, 2 down here in the 7th. There's Chase Headley. He's 2 out of 3 as well. A lot of production at the bottom of the lineup, but of course that 8-run third produced a hit from each of the first 9 consecutive batters. So up and down the lineup. A lot of production for the Yankees. There's a ball inside, 1-0. McCoy working quickly. The 1-0 pitch is grounded foul, third base side. Headley in that series against the Tigers, Yankee Stadium was making all kinds of plays at third base.
He sure was.
I mean, everything hit his way. It was being scooped. And it was an automatic out.
He wasn't hitting a whole lot, but he was picking everything.
In fact, Headley just recently committed an error about a week or so ago, and that snapped a streak of 62 consecutive games without a miscue for Headley. Rolls another one foul.
Had one big year for the San Diego Padres, and then as he had some injuries, and he's never really been able to recapture that magic when he drove in over 100 runs for the Friars. That would be the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, he didn't. In fact, hasn't really come close.
Nope.
115 RBIs, 31 home runs.
And that's a pretty big ballpark in San Diego. Not very hitter friendly.
Three and 2 now on Chase Headley. Again, grounded toward third.
We had a list earlier of players that have played 20 years or more with one team. Derek Jeter was on that list. Al Kaline was on that list. Tony Gwynn, rest his soul, who passed away earlier this year, spent 20 years in a Padre uniform.
And there's ball 4 missing away, 2-out walk.
And if they nickname that hole between shortstop and third base the 6-5 hole after Tony Gwynn, they ought to rename that hole on the right side of the infield, that 3-4 hole, after Derek Jeter, because he's gotten a ton of base hits in that direction.
Here is Brett Gardner. Infield single to drive in a run back in the third. Swing and a miss. McCoy now is throwing an even 30. It's pretty good considering this is his second inning of work here. He's gotten a couple of outs. And he's gone 0-2 on Brett Gardner. Bouncing ball pulled to the right side, right at Kinsler. Ian throws him out. Inning is over, no runs, a walk, 1 man left. Coming up, the Health Plus 7th inning stretch. As you can see, much of the action here tonight happened early in this game. The Yankees leading at 8-2 in that third inning, Rod. Well, we haven't seen anything like that in a while.
Neither is David Price. 8 earned runs allowed tonight by the Tigers starters in 2+ innings, which ties a career high. And Victor Martinez, he continues to get it done. He also a career high tonight. Hit his 26th home run his last time up.
Got a new right fielder now. Ichiro Suzuki has taken over for Carlos Beltran. It's going to be the bottom three for the Tigers. It'll be Avila, Suarez, Davis. And Alex in the ball game, a single only in 2 at-bats. He's also struck out in this game. First pitch is low to Avila. Bottom of the 7th is underway.
Green is doing exactly as he did in that start against the Tigers on August 7th at Yankee Stadium. That velocity, he's been able to maintain it from the first inning all the way here into the 7th inning in the mid-90s.
2 balls and no strikes.
If you're Avila, you know you're going to get a good fastball to hit here, with the score being 8-2 in the Yankee favor.
He missed outside. 3-0.
He's only walked 1 batter. That was the leadoff hitter of the game, Ian Kinsler.
And Avila taking all the weights, 3-1. Shane Green, 15th round pick back in 2009 of the Yankees, and he has sparkled in his big league chance this year. It's a bouncing ball right side and off the glove. Like a routine play, and Avila will pull into first base.
Prado has played so well at second base since coming over from the Arizona Diamondbacks. He just played that into an air. He had plenty of time with Avila running. Didn't really have to charge that ball, simply should have backed up and taken a better hop, but he created a short hop for himself by charging it, and the ball hit right off the tip of his glove and rolled to the right.
E4 on that play. Leadoff man is on. That'll bring up Suarez. Ball 1 to Suarez. Be the first error of the game for either side. Eugenio with a strikeout and a fly out in this game. Tigers got a run in the 4th, a run in the 6th. They still trail by 6. Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. More action in the Detroit bullpen. That would be Jim Johnson warming up. Tiger pen tonight has been stellar. They're trying to keep this game in check. There's a foul back out of play. 1-2 now on Suarez. Rajay Davis will be next. Avila reaching on an error by Prado. Breaking ball lifted in the air toward left center field. Jacoby Ellsbury runs it down.
A couple of guys that can really run in the outfield. Really, they've got 3 guys in the outfield that can really run, with Ichiro coming into the game, but Gardner in left and Ellsbury in center. Not a whole lot going to drop out there.
Bring up Rajay Davis. A couple of strikeouts for Rajay.
Yeah, Rajay has not been seeing the slider and very well out of the hand of Green here tonight.
Maybe the 3rd time is the charm here. Davis will take a base the hard way.
That hurt. You can see that Rajai Davis is holding that left arm limp down to its side. But that hurts. Got a little pad on that left elbow, but that didn't help.
That just sounded bad. And the pad did all it could. So with 2 on now, we'll see if the Tigers can take advantage here of an error and a hit batter. Kinsler, a fly ball and a strikeout in this game. And it's in there, a strike. There's some action in the bullpen. Dylan Betances, all-star this year. Hard thrower. He's tuning up.
He hadn't pitched in a few days now. He'll probably be throwing 100 when he comes in. And I mean that.
Oh, yeah,
Literally.
0-2. Kinsler is stepping out of the batter's box. Walking a couple of fly balls for Ian tonight. Ball high, 1-2. So Green now is moving in on 100 for the night. He's at 95. Just off the plate. Cervelli held it there and it just missed.
It's a good pitch by Green, but a better take by Ian Kinsler, not swinging at that slider. And that was a couple of inches off the plate.
Bouncing ball to the shortstop Jeter. Running scoop. Kinsler is out. 2 gone runners advance. A Saturday MLB on Fox Sports 1 continues. The Reds take on Andrew McCutchen of the Pirates as Pittsburgh tries to keep pace in the playoff race. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
Did you see where the Pirates sent that kid back down to the minors, Gregory Polanco?
I did.
I mean, when we were there in Pittsburgh, I mean, he wasn't getting a lot of hits, but he looked like he was holding his own.
Well, he started really quickly. In his first 10, 11 games, I think he hit safely. And then he kind of slowed down a little bit, but it seemed like he belonged. 2 outs now for Torrey. Base hit away from him, driving in a couple of runs.
That's one thing about the Pittsburgh Pirates and really any team that's in the playoff race. If you've got a really young player that's just struggling, and Polanco had started to struggle. I believe he was 1 for his last 31 before they sent him down. You've got to play somebody that's going to produce. And you don't want a young player like that sitting on the bench.
There really aren't many options in that situation. Here's the 1-0. Torrey pops it up foul. And we'll get back into the seats. 1-1 the count. We'll bring Cervelli out to the mound. Well, you get a base hit here, and it's 8-4. You continue to chip away. You got Cabrera waiting on deck. One and 2 now on Hunter. This is why what the bullpen has done tonight is so critical. It has given the Tigers a chance to claw back in this game. So look at the numbers by inning now on Green. The Tigers have had Hardy, Coke, McCoy. All pitched well in relief.
Really only a couple of stressful innings today for Green. Fourth. He threw 20 pitches in that inning.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Chased a high fastball, and the threat is over. We go to the 8th. Photo of the game. Tweet your photo to hashtag Detroit Fan Photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Tigers have gone back to the bullpen now, and Jim Johnson will have a chance to pitch.
Yankees very familiar with Jim Johnson. He wore the Baltimore Orioles uniform for a number of years and saved a lot of games for Baltimore. I'm sure a lot of those saves were against the American League East New York Yankees.
Defensive change. Rajai Davis out of the game. Ezekiel Carrera comes in to play center.
Rajai Davis going to have to go get some ice on that left elbow after taking that fastball last half inning from Shane Green.
There's Francisco Cervelli. Ellsbury and then Jeter to follow. We're in the 8th inning of an 8-2 ball game. In there for strike one. So McCoy hands the baseball over now to Johnson. Cervelli is single in 3 at-bats plus an RBI. Here's the 0-1. Make it 0-2 on Francisco Cervelli. Get foul down the third base line. Johnson let go earlier this year by the Athletics after 2 really strong seasons as the closer for the Baltimore Orioles. Although at times last year he had his challenges with the Orioles, despite the fact that he rolled up a ton of saves there, over 50 each the last 2 years. Tigers signed him up as a free agent August 6th. Deciding to take a chance on him, and Jim went down to AAA, pitched there a little bit, and here he is. Cervelli.
Cervelli made that look a lot closer than it really was. Looked like that ball was right over the heart of the plate.
Style points?
Look at it.
Yeah, it wasn't that close, was it?
Cervelli headed to Hollywood after he's finished with his playing career.
Did he go? He went around. Yeah, absolutely. John Tumpane rings him up.
Now that last pitch right there by Jim Johnson, 93 mile per hour fastball inside with a lot of late life on it, and it's a very good pitch for him. If somehow, some way he can continue to throw this pitch, you see the high 3/4 arm slot, but you see the late life on the pitch. It's very difficult to square up, which makes it kind of mind-boggling that he's been getting hit around the way that he has this year.
Well, here's a guy that's had a really good night. He's put a good swing on the baseball every single time. He's 2 out of 3.
Last few nights in that leadoff spot, he's really performed well.
2 homers in last night's ball game. 2 singles, a steal, and RBI tonight.
Who's going to be the leader on this Yankees team once Derek Jeter shuts it down at the end of this season?
Good question. Foul tip.
Told you that Jacoby Ellsbury leads their team in RBIs with 60. And it's going to be 20 years. They had 19 consecutive seasons where they had at least one batter with 100 RBIs. It's not going to happen this year.
Ball inside, 2-1 now on Ellsbury.
I guess Ellsbury could be a leader with the way that he plays the game, but I don't know if Yankee fans will adopt him fully because he wore that Boston uniform for so long.
Well, he's going to be around for another 6 years based on his contract. He does play hard, but he wasn't homegrown. It's a chopper to the second baseman Kinsler, and there are 2 gone.
Let's take a look at the Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery of the game. We talked about Tony Gwynn and the fact that he hit everything the opposite way. Well, Derek Jeter, he's done that as well and made a really nice living of doing so. Already 4 hits against the Tigers the opposite way this year. A couple at Yankee Stadium. Then in last night's game, he had 1 the opposite way. Then he did it against David Price on a changeup that stayed up and he slashed down in that right field corner.
And right now he is 6th all time, 3,443 hits.
That's where he's going to end up at, 6th.
Breaking ball drops in for a strike.
6th all time. Ever. All the players that have ever played the game.
Here's the 0-1.
I said this when we were at Yankee Stadium. There's never been a player that has gone into Cooperstown with 100% of the votes. If there was ever a player, Derek Jeter might be that guy.
Two balls, 1 strike. A lot of times players don't get that because there might be a voter or 2 that didn't like him, or something happened along the way, but you never hear that when it comes to Jeter. I mean, how could you not vote him in? First ballot.
How could you not vote for him to get into the Hall of Fame? That's the biggest question.
Jeter will take his walk. 2 out base on balls. Here's Martin Prado. A couple of hits and a walk tonight for Prado. Johnson fires one in there for a strike, 0-1. 8 runs on 13 hits tonight for the Yankees. No runs, make it 2 runs on 5 hits, no errors for the Tigers. Line drive, caught on a mini leap by Suarez. Nicely done. No runs, a walk, 1 man left. Suarez reaching for the sky.
The bigger the stage, the brighter the lights. It doesn't matter whether it was old Yankee Stadium, new Yankee Stadium, here at Comerica Park. Miguel Cabrera's had his way against Yankee pitching. In a career 52 games, the batting average is over 350 with 18 homers and 46 driven in. Those 2 home runs that he hit last year against Mariano Rivera, still trying to digest those 2. Back-to-back days, he had homers off their closer who retired last year.
Those were epic, to be sure, as Adam Warren checks in now to do some pitching out of the Yankees bullpen. And Cabrera leads it off and looks at ball 1. They have a new shortstop as well. Derek Jeter is out of the game, and Stephen Drew takes over.
First pitch out of the hand of Warren at 93 miles an hour with some late life on it.
2-0 the count on Miguel. RBI double back in the 4th inning for Cabrera, which now gives him 42 two-baggers this year, which is good for first in the American League. Pulled foul, 2-1. Detroit action. Now Albuquerque is warming up at the bullpen. A bullpen, by the way, which has allowed nothing after that 8-run 3rd inning chased David Price tonight. Here's the 2-1. Miguel shoots one foul back out of play. 2-2.
Green and now Warren throwing a lot of fastballs here this evening to Miguel Cabrera. Shane Green, their starter, had a fastball that went anywhere from 91 to 95 miles an hour, and Warren also has a decent fastball.
Popped him up. Shallow center field. Prado calling for it. And 1 out.
Hey fans, join the Tigers and the Barbara Ann Carmanos Cancer Institute on Friday, September 12th, as we pick out the park to honor breast cancer survivors and support breast health awareness. For tickets, call thetigers.com. Go to tigers.com. You can't call tigers.com.
You can try, but
you won't get an answer.
You won't get an answer.
Here is Victor Martinez. Solo home run with 2 outs in the 6th inning off the start of Shane Green. And that is a ball low, 1-0. Tigers tonight have been limited to 5 hits, and there's the shift employed against Victor.
Well, where he hit that one the last time he was up, you can't put a man there. About 15 rows deep in those right field seats.
That sails outside, 2-0. The home run was his 26th of the year, which establishes a career high for Martinez. Three balls, no strikes. And that is in there, 3-1. JD waiting on deck. Lost him, ball 4. Victor on for the 2nd time, 1 out walk. Now JD Martinez. JD had a single, that was back in the 6th, and now is safely in 6 in a row. Martinez swings through it, 0-1. JD in his 3 seasons as a member of the Astros was a career .251 hitter. He's improved on that mark considerably here as a Tiger, batting .312. Did he hold up? Yes, he did. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wave and a miss. 1-2 on Martinez. Warren has been used a lot this year, 58th appearance. Swing and a miss. And Martinez down on strikes.
Warren not the only one in that Yankee bullpen that's been used quite a bit this year. Betances, their setup man, has also been used quite a bit as Robertson, their closer, because they've played so many close games. They have to go to the back end of the bullpen just to try to win the games. And you have to add in the fact that their starters have been injury riddled this season.
Here's Castellanos. Well, Robertson has 34 saves, and Betances has an ERA of 1.42.
He's pitched a lot of innings and has a ton of strikeouts.
Castellanos looks at a ball low. 2-0 the count on Nick. 2 outs with a runner aboard. The Tigers trail 8-2. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. driven to right field. Ichiro's on the run. Not going to get this one. It's going to go up against the wall. Martinez coming to third base. They're going to try and score. Victor rumbling around third. He will score. And Castellanos has a 3-base hit.
Just a nice piece of hitting by Castellanos. It's a 2-0 count. Most young hitters will be looking to turn on this particular fastball and drive it to left field, but not Castellanos, not with his classic inside-out swing. He simply pulls the hands close to the body and hits one far enough to hit it over the head of Ichiro Suzuki. And green light given to Victor Martinez coming home to score all the way from first base.
Here is Avila. And he takes strike one. It's 4 triples now for Nick. And with that swing and triples alley out there in right center field, Taylor made to get quite a few of those as his career progresses. Good block there by Cervelli. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bouncing ball right side. And it'll get him out of the inning. And the Tigers settle for 1 run. On the RBI triple by Nick Castellanos, we go to the 9th inning, 8-3. And they have all 8 of their runs in the 3rd, and now the Tigers go to the bullpen as we go to the 9th. It'll be Al Albuquerque.
Al Albuquerque, 46 2/3 innings pitched so far this year in 58 games. He's won 3, lost 1, fastball 93-96. Al has a real nice slider, does not throw a changeup.
Mark Teixeira leads it off. It'll be Teixeira, then Ichiro, then McCann.
And that one seemed to get a piece of Avila's hand. Avila holds that hand in front of his body most of the time. Very seldom does he keep the hand behind his body. Although the hand was behind the body and it still got him that time.
Can't win. Here's the 0-1. 0-2 now on Teixeira. Since the 8-run third inning, the Yankees have had just one hit. Speaks volumes about what the bullpen has done tonight. That backed him out of there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. And Teixeira's history. 1 out here in the 9th inning. Well, we have an opportunity here. Let's check in with Shannon Hogan. News on postgame coming up.
Yeah, we've got a great Tigers Live coming your way as soon as this game is over. Stay right here on Fox Sports Detroit. Trevor Thompson and Craig Monroe in the Coliseum Studios. I'll be heading into the Tigers clubhouse and also catching up with a Yankee or two. You can catch it all on Tigers Live as soon as the game is over. Guys, back up to you.
All right, Shannon, thank you. Here we have the second hitter in the inning. Ichiro coming up for his first at bat in the ball game. Took over defensively for Beltran earlier in the contest, and he looks at a strike. Ichiro at 287 in 113 games this year. He's knocked in 17 runs. Ichiro swings and misses, trying to hold up. 0-2. That'll bounce in, making Ichiro move his feet. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ever since breaking into the big leagues in 2001 from Japan, it's been a Hall of Fame career for Ichiro. 200 hits seemingly every single season.
He made the game look easy on both sides of the ball. All-star every single year in his first 10 years in the big leagues. 10 gold gloves.
Remember his first spring training with the Seattle Mariners. Many were talking about Ichiro and how he would make the adjustment. So many people were saying, just wait till he sees big league pitching. This is not like Japan anymore. Well, he made it look easy. He'll slice that one back out of play.
When he came to the big leagues, as you get a look at Ichiro's ranks in Major League Baseball since coming to the big leagues, his manager was Lou Piniella, and Lou Piniella watched Ichiro take swing after swing, like that swing that we just watched in his first spring training. And Ichiro told the interpreter.
That's right out in front of the plate. And Avila will throw wide at first base.
He told the interpreter to tell Lou Piniella he was just waiting for the season to start. And Lou Piniella told Ichiro, well, ask him if I can get an appetizer. And he went on to win Rookie of the Year MVP in his first year in the major leagues, but it didn't get off to a good start with Uncle Lou Piniella.
Let's see what happened here on the throw by Avila.
It hit Ichiro.
Yep, right in the back. They've ruled it a base hit. It'll bring up Ryan McCann with 1 on, 1 out. Albuquerque missing outside, 1-0. And that is only the second hit that the Yankees have had since that 8-run third. Two and out. Three and 0 now on Brian McCann. Another sellout crowd here tonight, 40,876. Tigers now have 9 consecutive sellouts going. 24 overall this year. Ground ball right side. Kinsler, nice play to second one. Relay, double play. 4-6-3. Inning over. And we'll go to the bottom of the ninth inning here at Comerica.
Bell Tire pitch by pitch. Shane Green making his second start against the Tigers. He had one start against the Tigers back on August 7th at Yankee Stadium, and he was outstanding that day. And he was pretty good here today as well. 2 runs given up today by Green, but he had 8 strikeouts. He walked 1 batter and 2 outings. The Tigers really have not done much against him. Just 2 earned runs in the 15 innings and 13 strikeouts, 4 walks for Green against Tigers batters.
Well, here is the aforementioned Dellin Betances to take over now for New York.
And he's got a power arm. Fastball in the mid to upper 90s, and I mean the upper reaches of 99, 100.
Got Suarez, Carrera, and then Kinsler to deal with. And those strikeout numbers you talked about, 113 this year. Suarez skies one in the air to right center field. Ichiro coming under it. And 1 out. Betances is listed at 6'8", 260. Went to high school in Brooklyn.
So he's playing at the crib.
Yes, he is. How big he was in high school. Can you imagine facing a cat like this in high school?
I mean, man, when he lets the ball go, I mean, it literally looks like it's right on top of him. With that wingspan and the long legs.
Ezekiel Carrera gets his first at bat of the night. Took over defensively for Rajay Davis. And he pops it up foul. Back got a play. Rajay was hit by a pitch back in the 7th and taken out. Ground ball to second. And it's routine there for Prado. 2 up, 2 down.
The Yankee bullpen has struck out a total of 459 batters this year. And that's #1 in the majors. I mean, and we're talking about that Kansas City Royals bullpen with Kelvin Herrera, Wade Davis, Greg Holland at the back end. I would have thought that they would be right up there at the top as well.
The thing about Betances is literally half his outs, well, slightly under half his outs have come via the strikeout. 49.6% of his outs.
I mean, literally, when he lets that ball go, I mean, it's like it is right on top of you, and he throws 100 miles an hour as a hitter. You don't have any time to really decide whether it's a strike or a ball.
Two 2-0 on Kinsler. Tigers down to their final out, trailing it tonight by a score of 8-3. We're in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah, their closer right now, Robertson, will hit the free agent market in a year or so, and if he does leave as a free agent, they got themselves a closer in waiting.
Two and one. Two now on Kinsler. Ian hitless tonight. He has a walk to his credit. That's it. Torrey waiting on deck, hoping that Kinsler can keep it going. Three and two. Kinsler, man, just threw his bat out there, spoiled that one back in the seats.
That's really all you could do at 98, located where that last fastball was thrown by Betances.
Driven deep to left field. That ball is going to hook and go foul. Ian got out in front of that one in 97.
He sure did.
How about that?
This goes to show you how gifted these players are in the big leagues.
Kinsler keeps it going with a 2-out single.
Betances, he hit Torrey Hunter in that series in New York, but he hit Torrey Hunter with a slider. He did not hit him with a fastball, and Torrey's left hand was so swollen that he had to miss about 3 games. And when he came back, he was wearing that pad, but he's not wearing that pad. He's still got that pad on. No, he's since taken that pad off.
Backs away from ball one. Torrey spins out of the way of a ball that came inside off the glove, and that'll advance the runner. Man, Hunter that probably has some flashbacks.
Well, that's 98 right there when he got hit with that slider at Yankee Stadium. That was about 88 miles an hour.
Wild pitch is ruled there, advancing the runner. And Larry Rothschild now comes out to settle down Mr. Betances. He retired the first 2 batters, fly ball, ground out, and then gave up the single to Kinsler. Two and one. I would love to know how much time a hitter has to make up his mind when a guy is throwing upper 90s. And it's got to be a split second at most, if that. That one's pulled into left field, base hit. Kinsler coming around. He will score, and Torrey Hunter has an RBI hit. It's 8-4.
But it gives you an idea of how gifted these major league hitters are. That fastball right there was 98 miles an hour thrown by Betances. But the key is Torrey Hunter had himself in a 2-1 count, and he knew he was going to get a fastball, and he was able to cheat on that fastball and make good solid contact with it.
So the Tigers now back to within 4. Here's Cabrera. Runner goes. Swing and a miss. And we'll let Torrey take second. No stolen base for Hunter. Defensive indifference. Bender and Cabrera hits the deck. He's battling Cervelli now for actor of the night, maybe. Well, this one appeared it might have been a little bit closer to Miggy than the one to Cervelli.
Well, it's a breaking ball, and Miggy backed out of the way, lost his balance, and simply flipped over.
The 1-1. Ooh, that time he dropped in the hook, 1-2. Of course, it's easy to sit up here and say, why is a guy diving away from a guy that throws 100 miles an hour?
Well, Betances cannot be a very comfortable at bat.
Not at all. Especially up around your head. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. He blew him away at 98. And that's all for the Tigers. The Yankees will square the series with a win here tonight. They ride an 8-run third inning. That would be all they would need. And they beat the Tigers by a score of 8-4.